G'day guys, welcome to the latest episode of Beyond the Tape, a podcast where we talk to rad people in the mountain bike industry in Australia, sometimes abroad. But this one is definitely from Australia. A super unique human, hails out of Tasmania. And if you haven't seen any of his work, you might have been living under a rock for a while. We are in fact talking to Jasper Da Seymour. We kind of just winged it on this episode. It's just a really chill chat. There's no real aim or purpose or anything to it. And it's kind of one of my favorite episodes to date. And I was really humbled and honored to speak with him. So I hope you enjoy the podcast. Before we move on too far though, let's thank some sponsors. And I forgot to mention these guys last time. So here's a huge shout out to the guys from Taylor Trails. Just got back from spending a week with the boys down in Tassie where we did Derby, Medina and Queenstown. Queenstown is honestly my new favourite place to ride. Without these guys, I would never even would have thought about going there or even push myself to go there and see what it was about. But it's now a new favourite of mine. Super, super open. Exposed trail. So rocky. It reminds me of like the Eagle on the hill terrain here. But way, way, way bigger. And man, it's the most fun and most scared I've ever been in my life. And yeah, really, really enjoyed it. The sickest thing was that I was part of a mixed group down there. So there was about 2 groups of 3 or 4, all kind of joined together and rode bikes together. So it was good to kind of meet some new people, ride with some new people, get amongst it. And yeah, it was such a positive crew and I can't recommend them enough. It was so easy just to rock up, jump in the bus, get down into the town. I timed it was 6 hours from my house to Launceston or to Derby almost. So yeah, it was pretty rad experience, and just to have everything taken care of. Just rocked up and rode my bike. It was sick. Left here at 3 and was riding by 10. So amazing stuff. Of course, I was on my trek. Thanks to those guys for supporting the podcast. Still loving my Fuel EX. Shred Bike Wash kept my bike clean the entire time. Absolutely love their gear. Some of the best in the business for sure. Fist kept my hands protected the whole trip, and that was a godsend considering I rode like a potato. Frank kept me dressed and super comfortable. Whenever I'm shooting or doing some content with some crew, I love to be comfortable and be protected against elements. So to have their new jacket on board was unreal. Never got too hot, but never got wet at all. So I was stoked on that. And don't forget to use Beyond the Tape 10 over at their checkout to get yourself a bit of a discount. Smashing through these right now. Capped out cuts kept my stem looking good. Oakley kept my eyes protected. And yeah, I had a little disc rotor touring tool from Pedro's, which I got through Lead Out Sports. And that thing is a lifesaver whenever you travel with a bike or you're riding in the middle of buttfuck nowhere. And you need a tool just to straighten that rotor out after an inconvenient rock strike. So yeah, stoked on those guys. Anyway, enough shit talking from me. I hope you enjoy this episode. It gets weird. There's some shitty audio at the end due to some technical difficulties, but bear through it because it's some of the best content you'll ever hear from me. This is going to be the second or third last episode, so I hope you enjoy. Grab a beer, grab a water, grab a wine, grab whatever makes you happy, and enjoy the podcast.
For a few days, and so I'll take it off.
Yeah. So you're trying to you're making an income from shooting, obviously.
A little bit, yeah.
So that you're trying to basically get to doing it, to, push away employment to self-employment. Is that what you're trying to do, or?
I'd like to be able to balance it like half. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Because there's not enough money in the media market, and it's oversaturated with people in it. So it's really hard.
There's different niches though. There's so many different. You don't have to be. You could be the moto guy or scooter guy, on man bike guy, whatever. There's so many different. It doesn't have to be you can say it's oversaturated, but this could be the chef guy, the fucking fashion guy.
True.
But yeah, it depends if you're passionate enough and you really want to do it, or if you want to keep balancing it at 50-50, I suppose, as well.
I just get you get
worried about diving in,
or hating it after like 2 or 3 years.
Just getting over it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
No, but I think if it's something like whatever laneway you take with it, I think you'll find a way to like, keep enjoying it.
True.
I mean, for me, it's there were points with like bike stuff where it's just so oversaturated of me doing it that I was not enjoying bikes, and I wasn't enjoying shooting it. I was just doing so much bike stuff, and I never had any intention of that, and so that's where I was like, oh, I just want to do other things, and that'd be the same for you. Like if you're worried about it, you're worried about like destroying your love for bikes, and and that's warranted. But I think it's just the balance, and if you're able to have a balance of shooting a variety of things, then you really look forward to those things, and you can still have those things as a you thing, not just a work thing. Like, I like riding bikes because I like riding bikes.
Yeah, exactly.
Not just because I'm doing it, because making money.
Yeah. What are you shooting outside of bikes though?
A lot. I do probably more outside of bikes than in bikes. So like commercial, corporate. I do a lot of like agri-tourism and agricultural based work. Very different pace to mountain biking.
Yeah.
So, like work in education, same with schools and outdoor education. So whether it's filming videos about what they're learning, or more so like TV commercials and branding, working from the ground up with a product or a brand. Some of them are related or have come from bikes, the bike world. So sometimes they cross. But I'd say probably 60% of what I do is coming from other areas that aren't bikes, which is really good, and I'm grateful for that. Like I reached a peak where I was just doing so much bike stuff, and I just really didn't enjoy it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I don't know whether it's burnout, because I don't know what burnout is. As much as I read and I listen to podcasts about what burnout is, I don't know what it is. So I feel like there was just a point where I just wasn't enjoying it, and I was just really cynical, and and that you make bad decisions when you're in a negative headspace, and I think I just might have done some just did too much, and so then that's why I was like, I need to rebalance the scales, and as I say, I never wanted to just do.
I don't know.
Spirit?
Flashing. Nah. I don't know what's
Do you need this? Will that help?
Yeah, that's it. The nuts always help, mate.
It's like those Chinese worry balls or whatever, where you rub them in your hands and you just keep rotating them. By the end of this, they'll just be smooth-ass walnut marbles. We haven't even started. I'm
leaving all that in, though. I was happy to keep going.
Yeah. I don't know what to say.
Well, yeah. Should we start?
Yeah, I guess
officially.
So. I mean, officially, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just playing my fucking walnuts over here, talking shit. Like, you should chase the dream. Chase the dream. Are you, when you were saying you were like, you kind of want to have the balance, is it the thing though of like, you're kind of worried about just going all in as well? All in on like podcast and all in on media? Are you worried about that?
Yeah, so I'm taking...
Or is it actually about, you're worried about oversaturation of content?
Bit of burnout for myself, like
burnout.
I'm doing like a hiatus on the podcast for the next 6 months or so.
Yeah,
at least, just because I want to focus on film and photo. Because like, for example, organising this to you has technically taken 3 years because I first reached out.
I know we spoke ages ago, but to be honest, that was the start of me becoming a dad. Like it was in the midst of me being the first time dad. So. Everything was like, and everything still is chaos. Like every day is chaos. So so when you messaged again, I was like, I've got to see you. Like I felt so bad.
No, it's good.
But no, I remembered. And then when you said today about and I was like, did I actually ruin any plans by not being there or anything? Because I waited till about 20 past, and then I was like, and my friend, like I haven't seen her for ages, like almost a year. So I was like, she's in Derby, I'll just come back and we can do it here. But did I actually make any plans or anything? Because if he wanted, I could have met you. I could have like pedaled up and met you somewhere at a certain point, or a pin drop, or we could have done a phone call, because we've got technology these days.
Yeah, clearly it works really well.
Yeah, I know. So sorry about that.
No. I knew it was kind of going to happen. Like I always have. It's weird, right? Like you work in the mountain bike industry and you get used to...
Stuff doesn't go to plan.
Nothing. You never plan. Like we try to set out a vague plan.
You have a parameter.
Yeah. So for like, for example, Brendan, I told him we're meeting here at 1. I told you we're meeting here at 1:30. So that way I know that there's going to be a little buffer in there somewhere that it's going to work.
Yeah. You got to accommodate for other people.
Always.
I really, it's hard for me to like depend and rely on other people. I try to, the best of my ability, stick to, especially since having kids, is stick to times as best as you can, because there's a good chance if you don't stick to it, or the buffer time that you have, that things will just blow out and fuck things up.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, something will happen, something will come up. So just try and stick to it and get the stuff done.
You find like in videography and stuff as well, like if you're out shooting for half an hour extra or 2 hours extra, that's so much more editing time. Like
definitely
the step, like every step gets bigger.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah.
But I suppose and every time I shoot, like depending on what it is, if I'm shooting like, something that's more pre-planned and scheduled and shot listed and all the rest of it, it's not as bad because I know what I'm trying to get. But with bikes and the bike world, and that's kind of where I've grown up with cameras and stuff. Sounds really weird. I'm a little baby. Here's my camera. I'm in a bike world. Weirdo. But like I've learned through bike stuff and working with bike people, and they're all really great people. I think that's what I love about it. But I think from that perspective, it's been, just chaos and do everything, and everything runs out of time, and the light's never right. The light's either too cloudy, or it's too patchy, or whatever, or it's too fucking windy, or, there's always something. Like today, I was like, oh my God, like we're going to if we do a podcast at the pub, like we get blown away.
Yeah.
We get blown back to Hobart.
Exactly.
Or back home for you. Saving efforts. So. But,
I was out up at the top of Blue Tier. I'm like, this is fucking
real bad. It would have been
unreal.
terrible up there.
Unreal.
Branches snapping in front of you, old people getting taken off into the wind, walking frames. I don't know why old people would be up there.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe they were told the trails were good.
I think it's only old people that live out that way.
Probably,
maybe.
Yeah.
So they're just like flying around up there.
Yeah.
I didn't even know Mary Poppins was still around until I saw her fly past.
Yeah, like, that's you're going to see her on the tier. She's usually there on the... Actually, between the 9th and the 12th of October.
Oh, okay.
So you timed that well.
Yeah, timed it well.
Nailed it. Yeah.
She's with the Aurealis Borealis. It's all part of it. Yeah.
But yeah, it's Mary Poppins Borealis. Morona, to be honest. Something along that. It's a Spanish thing. Don't fact check me on that.
Oh, nothing but serious convo today, though.
Yeah, straight up. So you're taking a hiatus from the podcast, as you were saying, is just because you're going to try and fully focus on the media side of things. Yeah.
I just want to get more into that photo video stuff. I've got a video series I kind of want to try and do.
Yep.
A few other little things that I just want to mess around with.
Yep.
And just time.
It all takes time.
It does.
You have to go, where am I going to put this time? And that's it's as life progresses with whatever you're doing, it always gets harder to segment those time blocks and commit to them. And then in yourself, like then committing and you're like, and then you got to believe in it, because otherwise there's no purpose there.
Exactly.
If you commit and there's like no real intent to follow through on it, then it just becomes another notepad that never got ticked.
Yeah, exactly. You mentioned you had that kid, your son.
Two of them. Not at once, thank goodness. Twins. Oh, fuck. People have twins though, and that's a thing.
Yeah, I know.
Brian Delarue, he just recently had twin boys. Yeah, and he's already got a daughter, so he has a very full family. I don't know that. I don't know how he does it, or how they do it. They're an incredible family. Him and his partner and a lot of them there. It's full time managing his. Has he been on the podcast?
Yeah, like a while back.
Okay. You should do an update because it would be a doozy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I think there'll be a lot to share.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Have you done it since he's become Contour Works, or got it with his?
I think it was just as he started Contour Works.
Yeah. It'd be a very different life update.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. You chat with him.
How do you manage your time with kids, work, and being free? Are you freelance as well, I guess?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. There's many terms and umbrellas that I might fall under, but to answer that question, I don't. There is no water.
Yeah, okay.
There is no. Yeah. I'd like to say that I manage it. Was that the question? How do you manage it? I don't manage it. Yeah. So between dadding and family life and work, there's not real structure, and it changes all the time, but it's just a different phase of my life. and it takes a while to get to that, like to acceptance of like this is a different phase, and it's okay.
Yeah,
because there was a part of me before that was like, and still is, super OCD about things and creating and doing things within a certain time frame, and like I've had to be a bit more loose with that as I've fallen further into parenthood and realized, especially after my second son was born, that it's you can try and have structure, and it's like mountain biking and plans for that. It's like you try and have a certain structure in place for meeting mates and going out for a ride, but you've got to account for the faffers.
Yes.
You're going to have your faffers in the group, and I've got 2 faffers.
Yeah.
and I love them. And that's okay. It's just being aware of that and trying to fit that into your vague structure of work and life and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
So I'd like to say that I manage it really well, but the reality is I just work, like when I'm out shooting, it's obviously different. My children aren't with me because that would not be productive.
No.
And I don't think that would be super professional to rock up to a restaurant at 7:30 at night shooting a wine list and have my 4 and children. That would be very unprofessional.
It's just a mic stand.
Yeah, they're just going to hold the light. Like a little Vegeta with me. How is his hair doing that? I don't know.
Yeah.
We descend from Saiyans. What can I say?
How we get this done.
Yeah. How do you think we got here so fast? We flew.
Yeah.
So I don't know where I was going with that. So managing is very, like I'll do my shooting, I'll be out shooting, and I might have a day or 2 of shooting or a week of shooting or whatever. And then generally I'll come back and I'll, get back into dadding, and that's sweet, and I love it and I look forward to it. Like there was a point where I was just so drenched or rinsed, is probably a better terminology, that I was just so knackered all the time, and I still am knackered all the time, but it just shows on my face more than it used to. And probably every part of me. But yeah, so it's just a matter of getting back and then getting into dadding and catching up with my wife and see where everything's at. And then I'll, for the most part, try and do as much of the production that I can of an evening when people are asleep. Yeah. Sometimes they don't. There's a good majority of the time that they don't, or there's something going on, or sickness is running rampant. We love sickness. Oh, we love it. We drop them off at childcare, and they've got a menu of, gastro, hand, foot, mouth, syphilis, leprosy, and you just check which ones you want, and then you pick them up at the end of the day, and you bring them home, and you give them to everyone else. Yeah. Childcare is awesome.
I thought it was like childcare is just a subscription service.
It is a subscription to multiple diseases that you didn't know existed. And probably new ones.
They've gone past COVID-19. They're up to like 27 by now.
Well past it. Yeah. Well into the hundreds of various child diseases, or whatever they are, whatever they catch. But that's what happens when you lick handrails. I'm just going to put it out there. If you're going to start at this end of a handrail and go this far down the handrail, guess what? You're probably going to get something. There's a meter's worth of potential risk there. Yeah. And you're going to just put your... Things you wish you didn't have to say. Please take your foot out of your mouth. Please take your foot out of your mouth. There is nothing good to come from this.
I apologize for that before, though.
There is 0 nutrients in your toes or shoe. Oh, the amount of times I've had to say things that you just never think you're going to have to say.
And that's just the mountain bikers, right? And then
that's just, and then if we're going to talk about my children, my goodness me. Yeah, mountain bikes licking handrails in the lineup for a shuttle. Guys, what are you doing? This is why we don't hang out.
Remy.
Between the faffing. So I do the majority of my production. That was a really long-winded. Majority of my production generally at night time. And I'll try and do stuff could be anywhere from 9 o'clock at night until the early hours of the morning, 2 or 3 a.m. And that's my most productive time. I used to not try and do that because it rinses you pretty hard, but that's just the time that I have, so it's the time that I use. It's not always like that, but sometimes if there's a lot of stuff to get done, like I find for every day I'm out shooting, there's an equal day of production. especially if there's dialogue involved. And it doesn't matter how prepared you are for an interview and how targeted the questions are. If you're a one-man band, there's a pretty good chance there's going to be a lot more dialogue within that. That's going to be necessary for like what you're producing. And I've never really worked in with, you know, like larger crews or big productions and so forth. Like I'm very much just me and self-taught, and I work with other shooters and assisted other shooters and stuff, but I've never had like teams of people. So I'm just a bit of a random mess, and that is useful in some applications and not in others. So I don't know.
So even if you're like lighting an interview or something like that, you're doing that all yourself as well?
Yeah, and I'll just budget for that. I'll budget the time to make sure that, like, you know, if someone might be shooting who's you know, like a full-fledged cinematographer, and they might bring an assistant or two people, or a gaff and an assistant camera or whatever. But and there's also budget. You know, everything is about budget at the end of the day and time. Exactly. And so I always if I'm going to do lighting and all the rest of it, and I'll just every job is completely different for me. Like every mountain biking people and clients are completely different to government and commercial and corporate. It's all very different. And the way you approach them and talk to them and the language and all the rest of it, it's very different. And, you know, I don't bring 100% Jasper mountain biker to, you know, a corporate job meeting. And all the rest of it, but that's just common sense. Like you don't fly a drone in a toilet block.
No.
I don't know why you'd have one in there, but I'm just saying the downforce will create some horrible sense. Expelling from the toilet block. This is just, I don't know why that was an analogy.
No,
but I flew the drone yesterday, so clearly it's on the top of my head, and I need to go to the toilet before we started. So you put the two together, and there you go.
Oh, shit. Literally.
Bad time.
So, like, how did you go from mountain bike to corporate stuff? Like, how did you start mountain bike and then move on?
I don't know. I mean, I suppose... just trying to think of like how, for me, I guess more, I think is like where it kind of, for me, it started with photography. Like I wasn't even into video. I wasn't interested in it.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I still don't have an interest in it. No, I'm just kidding. I do now. Obviously. But I was always a photographer, and I've been shooting for like, I don't know, 10 years or more.
Okay. Yeah.
I think. At a stab. And so for me, it was the photography and an interest, like everything that we do, whatever it is, an interest. And then I guess I was just doing a lot of commercial stuff, like weddings, like everyone does all that sort of stuff, like stepping stones. And then I worked at a school as a photographer for multiple years.
Yeah, right.
So I worked with, and it was like a fly on the wall. I got to kind of do all the fun stuff with kids and document that. Yeah. But was never had the responsibility of being a teacher or so got to enjoy the cool stuff. And I really enjoyed that. That was a really, really cool part of kind of my development, and being able to talk to anyone, I suppose. That was, I feel like it's a very essential skill, is being able to communicate.
Yeah.
As you would know, with everything that you do. So that's where it all began, with photography, and then continued to push more and more. And then it got to a point where my mate was introducing me to bikes, and I had zero interest in bikes.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Didn't like it. I didn't like the fact that you had pedal.
Yeah.
Still don't.
Yeah.
E-bike life. But e-life. Jasper Da Seymour, as Mick Ross titled me that one year. He was like, that's what he called me, and I always think about that when I think about riding my e-bike. So I can really faff on, can't I? I'm that guy. I'm the faff.
Yeah.
So anyway, photography is where it began. Continued to do that, and then my mate introduced me to bikes. I had no interest, and kept pushing me with bikes. I was like, wow, something clicked, and I was like, this is really amazing. He let me borrow his Yeti SB66. Something or other. It was like, had rear triangle issues, constantly braking all the time, had it re-welded a couple of times. But he let me borrow that bike, and so for him enabling me to borrow this wicked bike, it changed the game.
That'd be sick.
I never wanted to touch bikes since high school, because like dropper posts weren't around back when I was like trying to ride bikes. And then he showed me that this had a dropper post, and I was like, what is this? And then I was like, good Lord, you mean I can get my bottom to the same height as the seat. I don't have to ride like someone's poking me in the date constantly, feeling like the imminent risk of like facial scarring for life. So that was a huge game. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. And so finally clicked and I was like, this is really cool. And kind of that's where the passion began. And he fed that to me and I was like, oh, this is amazing. So I can thank Shay. Shout out, mate. Thank you. You big dog for getting me into bikes. That was really where it started for me. And then I naturally, as a photographer, was taking photos of the bikes and the things I was interested in. And, and then I was like, I want to know how I can like capture this thing. Big Chook. Funny because we were going to meet out there obviously until I ruined our plans. But Big Chook is actually where everything began.
Oh, really?
Because it was like one of the first trails I kind of got into bikes, and I was borrowing again the Yeti from my friend, and I rode Big Chook for the first time, and it was just when I started to click with a bit of how, you know, when you finally realize riding is cool and there's something about it, and your skill goes like, it just turns over that point of you being a complete potato cake into like a chicken dim sim, and you're like, oh, this is actually pretty good. You just got to try it. Yeah. And so it was that crossover for me of, oh, this is pretty sweet. And then Big Chook was like, yeah, this is sick. And then, I was kind of addicted. And then I thought, I love this. And it was like a catalyst. And I loved Big Chook. And it was probably a different trail than to how it is now. I don't know. I haven't ridden it. I was excited to ride it. And I'm annoyed I've ruined our plans. Right. Another day, Darren. Yep. Another 3 years.
We'll make this happen.
Here's a nut to make up for it.
Thank you.
I actually need that back. I need something in my hands. So for me, Big Chook was a real catalyst of like, oh, this is a fire starter for me, and I loved it. And I was like, how can I show people? And this was when Derby wasn't a big deal. You know, this was like, I don't know, 6 years ago, like way before multiple EWSs and all the rest of it. Like it wasn't a big deal. It's
not what it is now.
Yeah, like now it's its own entity, and it's kind of weird. Like it feels crazy coming in. It's just like, oh, so it's the big Derby. But to me, I still associate with Big Chook and what that. And so for me, I wanted to capture Big Chook. Talking crap, Jasper. Talk to the point. I wanted to capture it, and I knew photos couldn't do it justice. Yeah. And so I wanted to go out and capture Big Chook in a way that was interesting. And so it's got to be video, right? But I have my 5D Mark III and just a couple of lenses and like a manual slider.
Oh, sick.
You know, like, and that's still a thing. People still use them. But like a big rail, it was I don't know how long. It was really long. I borrowed it from a friend. It was a ridiculously long. Had that in a backpack and my 5D3 and all the rest of it. And I set out with the intent of filming myself riding Big Chook, because most of the time, like to learn, you know, you're doing things by yourself and you're mucking around. That's how we get better with everything, I suppose, just practice. And so I took all that stuff out. My dad actually came and helped me out to film a little bit of that stuff, get a couple of like pans on the tripod, but then he pissed off. It was like 25 minutes and then he left me. But I spent probably like, I don't know, a good 6 hours of just...
So sick.
Yeah, just like, you know, just learning. And the best part about it was and that's what I love. And I think that's why it's great for athletes as well, or riders, is when you get to shoot, you get the opportunity to practice skill over and over and over again. And it's just, that's really cool. And so I really enjoyed that aspect of it. And that actually helped me with my ride. I'm not a great rider. I'm a competent to a point. I'm not great. Yeah. Oh, sorry, am I talking too much? That's enough. Let's stop the podcast.
It's still got the 29-minute limit on it.
Is it one of the where it cuts off?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
How long is the longest podcast you've done?
2.5 hours.
Who was that?
Jai and
the Mothership.
The Mothership and Baxter.
Baxter. Yeah.
So those two. Yeah.
We can do better. We're coming for you. We're coming for you, boys.
No, Jai got really drunk during it. It was pretty funny.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
What a surprise. Yeah, self-filming, I think, is one of the funnest, best ways to train or like learn how to ride. Yeah.
There's so many things that come into it that make it like a challenge, and it's super rewarding. It's fun. Yeah, you've done it as well.
Yeah.
And
it wears you out like quickly.
Yeah, it's really good, and it's like it's also humbling because you're like it. You know, you're reviewing it and you're like, oh, that's dog shit.
Yeah,
and then you do it again. You're like, that's still dog shit. And then 20 days later, you're like, I'm moving on.
Yeah.
Have a solid sob in the bushes. Use the ferns as a tissue, and
I'm advertising my bike on Gumtree like straight away. Like,
it's humbling. You do it, and you're like, oh, I think I can do better than that. But in the end of the day, it does help. But when you do things to a certain point, it oversaturates it, and you're not doing any good. Like you're just doing yourself harm. You're just like, oh, it's just worse.
Yeah.
Stop now. It's like the shooting as well. Like if something isn't working out, I get to a point I'm like, this is crap. Like something's not working. So, and you've tried, 3 times or 4 times, and it's not. Just move on, because otherwise you just like get in a spin in your head, and you're just doing a negative burnout, and it just doesn't do anything. You just move on.
I've done that like with people before when I'm filming. I'm like, we're moving on, and they're like, oh, look, it felt sick and stuff. I'm like, no, but it looks dog shit. Like,
yeah.
And we can do it 5 more times, and you can do a backy bar spin on this and make it.
Yep.
But it'll still look dog shit. Like, we'll move on.
Yeah, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And like that's the thing, as well as translating like what an athlete might want or what they think looks good might not look good, and you just have to back yourself as to what you think's going to look good. Like I often have someone will say like, "Oh, this is a really good gap," and I'm like, "It is. It looks insane." And I get it, and they do it, and I'm like, "That's mad. I filmed it." It's very rare unless you're at Rampage. It's happening currently because my phone is very low on battery. That's the only exception where you can see the vastness and the exposure and all the rest of it, where you can. But I find it very hard to kind of translate a gap unless Joe Blow's standing there with a measuring tape and he's like, "You did it, nailed it." It's really hard to translate. So it's 100%. Like you kind of got to go for like what's aesthetically pleasing, and it doesn't always line up with what the athlete thinks works, but.
Well, even you see hardline and stuff getting filmed, you're like, that looks tiny. But there's no way on earth I'd ever look at like riding it.
No, there's not one thing on the hardline course at Medina that I was like, yeah, I'd do that.
Yeah.
I don't think so. Nah. Probably a part where you go into a corner.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
Like a loose section where it's just like low me. Yeah, I could do that.
I'd ride the fire road.
Hardline. There's that 50 metres straight. Watch this. Watch me drag brake for 50 metres.
It would take me an hour.
Yeah. I could do a black run on my ass.
Yeah. I'd ride the fire road they jumped over.
What's that?
I'd ride the fire road they jumped over.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's all right. That's not too bad.
What was it like getting shut down by Red Bull? Did you get shut down for the clip?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, a little bit. I mean, in my defense, I wasn't aware of any media embargoes because I technically, might not have been.
Yeah.
I thought I was, but I must have been mistaken. It must have been another event, like Red Bull Schmardline, Fled Bull Nardline. I don't know, but definitely got my wires crossed there. But yeah, I wasn't aware of anything because I wasn't in the inner echelon, and I was just shooting it as a spectator, like literally as a spectator. I mean, I was in spectator zones for the majority. There was a couple of times where I might have not been in the spectator zone, but it just at the end of the day, like it really is like there are people that are media and they like just don't have etiquette or manners or common sense in the way they're conducting what they're doing. And it goes a long way. Like you might have a media lanyard, but you're acting like an absolute sausage.
Yeah.
And so there are a couple of occasions where I wasn't, in like a spectator spot, but just conduct yourself as I was doing it because I am a media company or small business and what I do. And so I didn't get in any strife when I was actually shooting. But yeah, it was just when I posted a clip.
Yeah.
Which I honestly like. I was giving footage to Stu Ross.
Yeah.
He needed some footage from stuff, and I was like dumping a whole bunch of stuff. And while I was dumping it, I cut the clip because I knew I had 2 clips of Ronan.
Yeah, sick.
The winner. And I was like, I'll just cut a clip. Like it took me 5 minutes. It wasn't like I was spending it. I wasn't like it wasn't a mission.
It looked like a phone clip, to be honest. Like I thought you were just
thanks. Here's a nut. Appreciate it. But the thing was,
what I mean. It was like 5 seconds. Like
I wasn't worried about it. Like it was more just like I was so stoked. And I was like, I'll have a clip of the winner and I'll put it up. Like, and if that was anyone else that like if it was like, why did it matter? Like I don't even have a particularly large following. Yeah. Why was it an issue? For them to even notice it. But I understand it was because the broadcast hadn't finished.
It took like 3 hours to come out. Yeah.
And I wasn't, I wasn't aware that I was contacted by someone. I won't mention their name. But they asked me, and I said, why can't they ask me? Regardless, I did the right thing and I removed it. But I didn't see the issue because I don't feel like how is it an issue? Because anyone was putting content up and putting stories up. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I've got 15,000 people that I might have 100 of them that follow me, that actually follow me. Do you know what I mean? So I thought, what does it really matter in the scheme of things? But for them to actually notice and then ask someone to contact me, like ringing me 15 times to remove the clip. I was like, well, obviously they're annoyed and I don't want to annoy them. I'd love to do work for them. And obviously if they've noticed it, that's a positive thing. Okay, not a phone clip. Thank you. But you know what I mean? I just thought if they've noticed it, then that's a good thing. But what does it matter? And that's obviously, because there's 100,000, there's thousands of people putting stuff out. What does it matter?
I was confused that did everyone that was in the audience and spectating not?
Were they aware of that? No, I guarantee you they weren't. I guarantee you most of them were probably doing lives or something. I don't know.
That's what I thought. Yeah. It's weird.
So I was kind of like subtly flattered. I was like, oh, okay, I'll remove it. Someone's noticed me. That's important. I'll remove it in the hopes that maybe they will give me some work. But so that was taken down.
Oh, dude. What was Hardline like though? Like to film and shoot, was it? Did you?
It was difficult. I would say it was difficult.
Yeah.
And I spoke to Stu about it as well. So he was doing some stuff and he was like, it was pretty difficult. Yeah. And I don't shoot events. Like for the most part, I don't.
Yeah.
I've never really done any mountain biking events. Yeah. I've just trying to think in the last year since I've been shooting bike stuff or just any stuff. I've never done like music festivals or closing to events I've done as weddings back in the day. But the Devil's Cardigan was like one of the first events I've done. And then I did do. I think I just shot both EWSs for fun.
Okay.
Yeah. And then Hardline was for fun. So I haven't really done events, and I don't usually do them. But I would find it really stressful, to be honest. Like I was stressed because I was just like, I have a standard for myself that I was trying to get content and get pools that I was happy with. Yeah. And I got a few, but I was also just kind of enjoying it with my friends, and that's also a good thing to do. And I don't usually get to do that. But I was like, I definitely want to shoot some stuff because it was Hardline. It was the first Hardline in Tasmania. It's insane. Yeah. So I was like, definitely going to shoot, and I was going to walk like I was and act like I was shooting because I wanted to capture. I can't I would be doing it whether I was getting paid or not. I wasn't getting paid, and I was doing it because I love it. And that's what it was. Big Chook, I was doing because I wanted to do it. Yeah. I wasn't on 5D Mark III, so it was slightly better content.
It's slightly. It surprises me that you don't shoot that many events because I've watched the Devil's Cardigan stuff and it looks so good. You're so good at it. So I'm surprised you don't.
Nah, I don't know whether I've never really tried, but I'm kind of on the outer of the inner bike world, I think, because I'm kind of just doing my own stuff to a degree.
Yeah.
And events are great, but I don't know. I've just never really, no one's really asked me until the Devil's Cardigan, I guess, to do an event. Okay. So I just never, did Crankwork Cairns the first Crankworks.
That was about to say.
So it's done two events. I've officially done two jobs that have been events. Crankworks Cairns. Yeah. And then I went back for the second Crankwork. So technically it's 3. I'm a liar.
Yep.
I deserve this walnut. This is dry, ratty old walnut. There's your lunch. Enjoy. Yeah. So, but I love shooting the Devil's Cardigan. It was really fun. It was really different because it was, it was gravel, hectic athletes, different beasts to mountain bikers, and different to shooting the EWS and stuff, or EDR or whatever it's called these days, the enduro.
I reckon it's more emotional.
Dead.
Battery's dead in that one.
Do you need more batteries? I don't even know if I have any batteries.
No, I've got one.
Do you have a mains fake dummy battery?
Yeah. Yep. I do. You
not
know where it is?
It's not here.
It's in Adelaide.
That's a really good place for it, actually.
Sorry. And I realised this morning.
What's that? Oh, no.
Sorry, man.
And you should have told me, because if you hadn't got batteries, I've got 100 Sony batteries.
You've probably got the newer ones.
Maybe. But I mean, I just bought a V-Lock battery out and could have tapped in.
True.
Oh, do I even have a dummy?
That's all right.
How much battery you got of that? 10%. 10% to die.
Nah, I've got like 5 batteries for it. It's fine. But the dummy battery is in Adelaide. Oh. This is the one thing I forgot. I'm like, don't forget it.
What's what happens?
In Adelaide.
The preparation before shooting is super important. Like I've only gotten better at it because I've been so bad at it over the years. It's just like the gear prep. I spend a lot of time on just pre-treatment of a job, and then the gear prep, obviously before the job. But the pre-production and planning has become more important to me. I've always not always, but I'm pretty loose creative, and so a lot of winging has happened.
Yeah.
But also there's ideas within that wouldn't have happened if I wasn't just winging, to be honest. And the things that I look back on, I'm like, that's really cool. Didn't happen initially when I was shooting with stuff, but as time's progressed, I've gotten better at different stages. It's nice to be able to. I used to look back when I was sort of a couple of years out of shooting and look back and go like, oh, sorry about that. That's horrific. I used to look back and think, oh, that's crap. Like that is so bad. There's the framing, the exposure, or whatever. It's all bad. There's nothing about this I like. But as I've gotten further in, it's nice to be able to look back a couple of years now, or 3 to 4 years, and still kind of like my work, because I'm pretty critical of my own work, as everyone should be. I'm not trying to sound like a narcissist, but I'm like looking back, and it's nice to be able to recognize like a particular shot I've got on a one wheel or something riding the e-bike with a gimbal, and I look back and go, I'm really still think that's a good shot, and I could recreate that. Whereas when I first started, I couldn't look back and go, geez, that was good. But being able to recognize that and see things that I can then apply, and it wouldn't have happened if I wasn't just being like spontaneously or weirdly creative or half planned or just trying things. So as much as pre-production planning is important, I wouldn't have like the weird creative stuff if it weren't for me being useless and fumbling until I fall onto something accidentally. I'm like, oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Mistakes.
It's funny because I packed that box like 5 or 6 times. In fact, I've probably got the dummy battery in there. I just can't find it.
That's the way. Dig deep, Darren.
But like, for me, it's always been like budget constraints with shooting. And I think that's made my shooting better because I've got to get creative. Yeah. Like, I've got a camera sitting on a stool over there because I don't have 2 tripods, and I'm packing light, or, I've run.
You didn't need to tell them that. Now they think whoever's listening to this at whatever future point this is, there's 2 tripods there. He does have the money for 2 tripods. Leave him alone. It's not a stool. There's 2 tripods. They don't know. But
it's made me a better videographer, photographer, creative, because I've had to do it on a budget. Yeah. Like, I'm shooting with a kit lens, but that's what I have to make work. Yeah. And I think that under preparation or not having the right equipment can make you better at the craft.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's it's the age-old adage that goes on and on and on YouTube and all the rest of it about it's not the gear, and it isn't about the gear. It's about the idea behind it, like idea and then the gear. But there is a point where if you want to conceptualize some of those ideas, additional gear may be required to create those. Yeah. But I mean, I'm loving more and more with the way things are progressing in any content that we're doing, whether it's bikes or cows running in a field or cars or moto or whatever it is, or cooking. I'm enjoying like seeing people use crap cameras and splicing that in with content to a point. There's also the overuse of it. Like I'm also kind of now just getting over that again. There's different phases and flows of media. And so, but I've still got my own take on it, but I kind of appreciate if something's a bit grittier or a bit grungier to a degree. As long as like there's still that intent of composition and framing and thought, and you can get that with crapper cameras. Like I go back to some of the stuff, whereas my old 5D2 and 3 and all the rest of it, and I'm still trying to do the same stuff, and it'd be nice to like re-challenge myself and try and create something that that's all that I had, so use it again. Yeah. But it's like you don't want to. Like if you've got the plus on the e-bike or the minus, or you've got battery, you're going to sit there and not use it. You
exactly.
know what I mean? Yeah. Like it's the temptation to use the tech. Yeah. And it's humbling to kind of go back and try it, or just at least just look back, because I can look back now up to 10 years or more and see where stuff was and be very critical and judgmental of what my work was like and what I was doing. Video is still newer, because video is it would probably be 5 or 6 years I've been doing video, maybe 6 years, I reckon.
Yep.
So
right.
Not as long as photo for sure. And then that's it as well. Like you're asking, what's the other proportion of my work? But I still do a lot of photography.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's still I don't know. It's probably 30% of my workload's photography.
Yep.
And then 60%, that's not math. 60%'s video and 10%'s nothing.
Yeah. Kids.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Even when I first started, the A7, I had a converter for a Canon lens on it, which meant I didn't have autofocus on that lens.
Mm-hmm.
So even when I was shooting photo, it was manual pulling everything.
Yeah.
And that's probably one of my greatest, the greatest skills to have now.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Being able to manually pull stuff. Is,
manually doing a photo sucks.
Yeah.
But it'll learn you for sure.
Yeah.
And I'm still I still miss stuff all the time, but it is a really cool skill, and all professional cinematographers either pull their focus or have an AC that does it, and all the rest of it. It is a real skill, and I'm always working on it, and sometimes it's better than others. And every lens has a different friction and to it, and everything's newer lenses, Sony lenses and stuff. They're super fast, and it's very finite when you're pulling, and I find it difficult to pull on if I'm going to turn it to manual on a Sony lens. On my camera, I actually find it really hard. So a lot of this time, and since I've developed and I've shot on Canon, I still have a lot of Canon glass, and I pull on those because they're heavier. Yeah, most of it, and it's actually slower. I prefer that.
Yeah,
because otherwise on the Sony, I'm like, the ring's just so quick because everything's just new and it's built to be auto and all the rest of it. So I find I'm better at pulling with Canon stuff. Yeah, and just anything that's got a slower, you can just feel it a bit more, and you don't go past that point as well. But there's also days where I just run auto.
Yeah,
it really just depends what I'm doing, but I'm trying to be more, put more thought into what I'm doing as opposed to just having terabytes worth of crap.
True. Yeah, true.
Which can also sometimes happen, even if I'm planning to not.
Or you just sit there for hours just sorting through clips to see what one's kind of good.
Yeah.
Yeah. What
do you have any actual I've just thrown we just started talking from nothing.
No.
Do you want to actually ask me anything? I've just started
I'm enjoying this.
You.
No, this is working perfectly.
I like your pants.
I'm enjoying. Thank you.
Yeah,
my
nice.
pants.
I like green as well, so I'm partial to it.
Yeah.
I'm your top half.
Yeah. Yeah. We could go blend in at some point. We'll just go.
You'll lay on the grass.
Yeah.
Just your legs though, and just my torso.
Yeah, we'll mix it up. We'll Photoshop it, right? And I'll put your legs on my torso, and I'll
turn me into a bird. AI. Turn Darren and Jasper into a swan. Imagine the morph.
Oh,
we need counselling after it.
Oh, 100. I need counselling before it.
Everyone would need counselling. What is this? How did it get into my feed? How does half the stuff get into our feeds?
Oh, because it's probably AI.
It hears us talking.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate it. Yeah, so I'll let you, if you want to ask any actual questions, you could ask me.
I was going to ask after that rant, because it kind of sums up perfectly, but where's all this creativity come from? And I don't want to say weirdness, because I don't like that word for creative people, but the quirkiness.
Rough, can't it? Yeah, weirdness.
Quirkiness.
Quirky's a little less offensive.
Especially
I've been called weird for years, to be honest, but yeah, it becomes quirky as you become an adult, I think. So that's
apparently,
okay. It becomes slightly more acceptable.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially when you keep clothes on. So what was the question? Where does quirkiness?
Yeah, it's where's it come from? And because it's such a refreshing thing to see in media, because everything, especially professional, mountain bike media.
For example, call me professional. I'll stop it.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
It's everything's so cookie cutter.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is the same.
Yeah.
Every bike shot, it's the same.
Yeah.
And it is hard. I do everything the same, right? Because it works.
Yeah.
But how do you kind of find these ideas?
A lot of them are inspired from things outside of mountain biking, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
like it's easy to be like, oh, it must be like, where does that come out of the bike world? But a lot of it's like either it's from just general everyday life or something, something someone says to me or something I've seen from like, I don't know, there's lots of different things I take interest in that, obviously non-bike related, but do you follow the guy That's What I Reckon, the cook, the funny?
Yes.
Yeah.
Love that dude.
So funny.
Yeah.
I've followed him for years, since before he went nuclear viral. Yeah. And I don't know, there's little idiosyncrasies that I connect with or relate to and I appreciate. And then I'm like, that's so funny. And I'm like, how could you twist that into like, and I've been able to execute weird creativity within bike stuff. I don't know, some of it works, some of it doesn't. I don't know, hopefully most of it hits. Or look, if it's entertaining or you feel awkward or you feel annoyed because it's enraged. So if you feel something, I think that's a good thing. I know art, like if you look at it and you're like, that's a really great image of a woman and a dog intertwined with a swan or whatever. That's amazing. Like, or that's calming or whatever. Like if you can feel something from it and like primarily positive things, that's really good. Like I like people to laugh and smile. I like people to be happy. And so that's kind of, I don't mean to do that, but I just enjoy it, I suppose. And it's like an outlet for me as well. Yeah. So, because I started my photography and video and all that stuff, well, mainly photography, but it was like I did a contemporary arts degree and it all started.
Oh, you did? Yeah, right. Yeah.
And it all started with just, wanting to create. And a lot of the, not a lot of the time, but from time to time, I'd try and bring humor in because I just like people to be happy and have a good time. Yeah. And so I guess that's just leaked into bike stuff subconsciously, and it's become part of the stuff that I do. But also I don't want to be that person that's like, I take my work very seriously and all the work that I do, especially more commercial and, whether it's TV commercials or corporate work or whatever, I want to be seen as like, I'm not just someone who does funny things or whatever, because that's important to me. So I've struggled and I tried my best to make sure that people can have a laugh and enjoy stuff, but I also want people to take me seriously. And I don't know whether people, like whether the public perception, whether my part in this very small part in the mountain bike industry in Australia is that people just see me as that, or whether people see me as someone who's capable of doing things as well, because I want to be that person. So I don't know whether it's like been to my detriment to do those things, but I just can't help it. I just want to, and I just do. So, but they come from all sorts of different directions, all those ideas.
Because I think one of the first things that put me onto your feed and to what you were doing and noticed you was when you did the stuff in COVID. I can't remember what that was called.
Oh, at Home We Stay?
Yeah. And then Troy Brosnan was on it as well.
So he was my guest.
Yeah.
He was a champ.
Yeah, and he is. He's great. But like,
and that's what I love about Troy as well, is that and he's just super down to earth. He's an elite who's just second overall in the world, the entire World Cup. And that run, I was just like emotional. Like, I don't see Troy all the time. I did a job with him years ago, and I spent a week with him and meeting him and his amazing dogs and his partner Em, and just like getting to know him, and like we didn't know each other at all. Yeah. And so that was an awesome experience, and just getting to see what his life's like as fly on the wall. And he's just, now I feel like I've kind of just watching him just continue to excel. And I came in at a point where he's already a superstar. Yes. At such a young age, and then to be able to see, like I don't see every race of all the people that I know, but like it's just so to see where he is and the humility that he holds within himself, and the way he carries himself as a role model for up and coming kids. And I don't know, he's just it's just awesome to see we have people like that in the sport and can drop the facade of I'm an elite athlete and this is it, I'm here, and then come and dodge dog turds on lawn for a ridiculous dude from Tasmania that he spent a week with shooting a video. Like, how good is that?
It was so good.
And that's, I just really appreciate that, because there's, the majority of athletes I work with they're amazing. I haven't had many people I've worked with. And in different industries, you work with different personalities and different egos and all the rest of it. But being able to just have a laugh at yourself is super important. Yeah. Because, we're all spuds.
100%.
Some of us just polish a little bit better than others.
Yeah.
We all think we're okay. We are okay. We're all okay.
How's the mountain bike world differ to the corporate stuff? Like you did mention before, it kind of is different and everything is different, but like,
yeah, just different.
Is there a crossover as well? Like, is there anything that crosses over between the two?
Other than, just shooting skill and framing and, like all the standard basic skill set of shooting, there's not a lot that really crosses over. I mean, I think it's helped doing a lot of mountain bike stuff because it's pretty physical and carrying a lot of gear, and Lord bless e-bikes. For me, not having, constant taint rash is pretty big draw card, especially when you got like an additional 25 kilos or whatever pressing down on the bike, and I've had some pretty bad ones. So, it's a big, it's a lot nicer having an e-bike. That wasn't the question though. I just love e-bikes. What can I say? What was the question?
No, but it is, I guess that is one thing. Like, is it harder for you to sit in an office and take headshots or?
No, I actually like it because it gives me as I was saying, because I did an oversaturation of work at a certain point with bikes, and it was like, I just wasn't enjoying it. And so for me, it just changed the pace completely because it is chaotic, and there's weather and there's elements and there's dust and the gear and the risk that you take with, riding, and like, I can't ride like, with a bag like Stags can. There are guys that just, and I look at him and I go, he was like, I know he was a good rider, and he still is a good rider, whenever he started to start shooting and all the rest of it. But you look at him and you're like, wow, but I'm like, there's no way that I'm doing anything other than getting down this hill or getting to the next point, because I'm so focused on what I'm doing. But that they're confident, and oh man, I see them riding with their bags and I'm like, there's a small man inside of me screaming.
Yep.
And I'm just like,
that's why he can't ride so good, is he's just kicking around inside him, man. You gotta let him out.
I'm not letting him out. No way. He's gonna stay there forever.
I say that, but yesterday I got I come down detonate just after the narrow rock shoot. You do the right. There's that real tricky left. And I was just rolling through it casually, and as I've come through, my ass busted the rear tyre, jacked the rear wheel up, and shot my bag. My bag wanted to keep going.
Yeah, the momentum.
Yeah, and it's just, you launched me over the bars into that rock on the right. Yeah. And just broke, I'm pretty sure I fractured one of my toes and like smoked my knee. And you're just like, well, I got the rest of the trip to do, like, and film now. Like, this is big. But yeah, I can't believe how good Stags can ride with a bag. And you see some of those other dudes. Yeah. Bowman, Captivate, he can ride with a bag.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just settle down.
Yeah.
Settle down.
Maybe because they're young or something.
Well, I mean, they'd probably be younger than me, definitely younger than me, probably both of them. But yeah, the confidence to ride with I'm just not. And I was a shooter first, rider second.
True.
Photographer, then mountain bikey-ish, and then videography-ish. So you can see where someone's like, you've been riding for a while, but I'm a complete walnut. Old stale complete walnut. But yeah, so but I want to touch back on, because I feel like I should, when I was talking about filming Big Chook, because for me that whole catalyst of that was the first video, my mountain bike video that I shot, and it was literally, I kind of did it it was for Vertigo mountain biking, like Love and Buck and Jude, and so kind of put their logo and bits and pieces and the Blue Derby logo and all the rest of it. It was literally just for passion. I just love it. And it was just something about it was sweet. So anyway, put the video up, and
sorry.
It's all this technology. I feel like I should know what's going on, and I don't. And which is nice. I don't have to worry about any cameras. This is so sick. This is lovely. Anyway, so put the video up, and then a few different people saw it. Ryan De La Rue saw it, and I just sort of started hanging out with Ryan, and like, I wanted to film him doing some building and stuff when they was like, what were they building? Probably a climb trail, probably the climb trail Devil Wolf or whatever. I don't know. Oh no, they were building like Detonate and all that.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was a while ago.
Yeah.
But like that's what they were building at the time. And so I was filming a bit of trail building and bits and pieces. But anyway, from that, Flo contacted him, I think, and asked him who the person was that did the video.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
On a mountain bike. And then he said, oh, it's Jasper. And then, yeah, like his recommendation and backing, they gave me an opportunity to do a video. And I did a project with Remy Absalon, who's like a French enduro rider, and it's some private trails. And looking back on it, the video is not great, but for the time it was probably pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But again, like limited kit, I had a glide cam, so not even a gimbal.
Yeah.
And I was pretty good with it, to be honest. And I tried using it recently and I suck. So clearly I've got comfortable with gimbals and e-bikes. Time to change. Time to downgrade.
Yeah.
I can't because the plus button's always there. But yeah, so his recommendation got me an opportunity to work with an elite athlete from France. And that was like my first like gig really doing video.
Yeah.
And in any context for money as a job. And then that kind of spiraled from there and flowed. They just gave me so many opportunities over the years. And if I hadn't have been able to work with them, I wouldn't have had so many chances. So there's been so many, just awesome jobs, like destination jobs. And I learned so much working with them and the way they do things and about, anti-chafe cream and what not to eat at a pub, what to eat at a pub. So super grateful for, so many opportunities to do stuff via that. And that was all from that one, just let's make a silly video or make a video that encapsulates why I like this trail kind of thing that I can't do with photos.
Yes.
So, that was the catalyst, and that perpetuated me onto doing more work with Flo and working with Mick heaps, and he's been a big part of that. And
a lot of time for Mick.
Yeah. So I've been really grateful for that, and I honestly probably wouldn't be still doing bike stuff today if it weren't for that. There are a couple of catalysts. That was a big one of them. Wasn't long after that where I entered a competition and I won a video competition, and that kind of pushed me further into bikes.
But like you say, there's only been those two catalysts, but the first one is you just going out and doing it and building that trust.
Oh, for sure. Just trying. But but there was never an intent behind it. The only intent behind it was I tried taking photos on it of myself. That was difficult in itself.
That's
still
ridiculously hard.
And I still do that from time to time. And it's actually really hard, but it really teaches you a lot about timing.
Are you remote triggering just off your bar?
Sticky tape to the bar.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, to the front brake.
Oh, really?
Sticky tape to the front brake. And because I'm like old and I don't know what better tech I could get, I still run a 5D3 with a infrared remote trigger, which has got like a 30 meter range, and I can only shoot 2 frames with each press. It can't do like a burst.
Oh, I can't do a burst.
It's like every time I press it, it's 2 frames. And so the timing is not great. It's really hard to get it right and not look like a complete walnut. It really is.
Yeah, that's wild.
But yeah, so there was never an intent behind the video. It's just like, I want to create because photo just doesn't do it justice. And I want to create this video because this trail is incredible and I want people to feel kind of something that I'm feeling because this is so cool. I love bikes. I was young. I was excited. 10 years ago, or whatever, 6 years ago. It feels like 10 years ago. And and so that was just, and then people really liked it, and then that got me the opportunity, and then it kind of went from there. So I wasn't trying to like pursue video. It just wasn't. I was just going to try it and see how long it took, and it was super time consuming, and I didn't want the workload, and it wasn't even big. Like the total project size was made in iMovie. It was probably like 200 meg or something. It wasn't much. And the clips, 1080. They weren't like logged. They were all just like baked in color, and everything was crap. It was mainly it looked like it was 720 to 360 potato. It was not good. So for me, that was just because it wasn't for. I've never wanted to do even shooting. Like I was never really. I'd like it to work, but I never wanted to wasn't about making money. Yeah. But now it is. Well, it has to be because I want to sustain it.
Exactly.
So it's necessary evil. But
unfortunately.
You can't just trade in like Woolies vouchers and petrol vouchers because if we could, I'd probably do it.
Well, there will be a point with these price rises and stuff where Woolies vouchers will be worth more money.
Oh,
but,
yeah. But yeah, I needed to tell you where that photography and
no, that's cool.
Kind of spliced and it was unintentional to get involved in bikes, and then I just got like catapulted into the bike stuff, and then it kind of went from there.
Yeah, and
just did a bunch of different bits and pieces. But remember, one of my favorite jobs that I got to do with Flow and earlier jobs was going to Atherton in North Queensland. And it was like real dry and dusty and sharp rocks, and the trails are like pretty harsh, and had Dave McMillan and Mick Ross, and it was a proper road trip, and them riding through the sugar canes and doing wheelies and just fun. It was just so much fun, and it was just like a real learning curve, and just got so much from it. And a heck load of chafe because it didn't have an e-bike. They weren't a thing.
Yeah.
Right then, I don't think they quite existed.
Yeah.
And I was riding my Norco, and it has like 160 mil travel.
Yes.
And I had my 25 kilo bag or whatever. And I climbed a stairway to heaven.
Yeah.
I also had a technical issue, and let's just say it was not worth the chafe that I endured. The cold wind and chafe cream could not alleviate the pressure that I felt between my cheeks.
It was a whole different ball game.
It was. Yeah. It was more than a ball game.
Because you won that Norco, right? Was that the one? Yeah.
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 Yeah. It wasn't a great work bike, but it was a great trail bike.
Oh, I love them. I had the next year where they went from the golden green to the black and red. It was the same bike, and it was a really nice bike. Yeah.
I've still got it.
Yeah.
It's just been retired.
Yeah. Okay.
It's still sick. I still love it.
Because that was Brendan Atkinson and Norco that put that on?
Yeah, he had a competition. It was a Winbrins bike, and it was called, and it was like a pink bike comp.
Yes, yep.
Run in conjunction with a bunch of his brands and sponsors. And yeah. Do you want to know? I can talk about it if you want to.
Yeah, I was going to lead into it. But like, so how'd that kind of come about, and where was your idea for that? Because that was... definitely a standout. I don't think anyone would have been expecting. Well, that's
kind of what I like to do with anything that I do. Well, not anything, but for the most part, if I can be a little bit creative and the client allows me to be creative, I'll get a bit, salt shaker full of Jasper, or just want to drizzle, or you just let me know when you want me to stop. Say stop. Stop. What?
I never want you to stop that.
So, for that one, I was like, I wasn't even going to enter. I saw the competition. I think I saw it, or someone sent it to me. A bloke sent it to me, and he goes, "Jasper, you should enter this." And it had I had plenty of time. But then it came down, it was like I had a knee surgery, and I had like flappy meniscus floating around in my leg, and it was not a good time. I didn't have a bike. The only bike I had access to was my mate who got into me to bikes. His dirt jumper, which was like a green Giant STP or something like that. And but I was like, oh, that's cool. Maybe I could do something. And I just... But my knee was killing me. I was in that much pain, and I didn't want to really ride particularly hard because, I didn't want to hurt myself because it was, I don't know whether I just had a knee operation or was about to, but I've had multiple on my knee operations. So it's just like, there's not a whole lot of meniscus there. It's just bone on bone sort of deal. So, that's why the e-bike's sick.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he messaged me and he said, you should enter this comment. I was like, no, I'm not going to. I'm not. No chance. Like, what's the point? But then I read into it, and it said, like, it's not a pick the one out of the hat. It's like they'll look at them and judge them. Because if there's one thing I hate, it's like everyone just putting in, or like putting something half-assed in. But it was an intentful competition, and I like that. I was like, oh, that's cool. But again, my window was closing. My knee was killing me. And then I had like 2 days or something before it ended.
Yeah, right.
Or like 3 days, and it was a small window to shoot it. And again, I still had a 5D3, a tripod, not much different to like how everything starts.
Yes.
And didn't even have a mic. It was just the on-camera mic.
Sick.
Like it was not good. And it was my iMovie.
Yep. Did that in
iMovie cut.
Yep.
So I put a video together, and my concept was I just grew up on video games, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, and Matt Hoffman's Pro BMX, and the effects that come with the noises and all the stuff you associate with games. And so my take was like, oh man, like you want to unlock his bike, and then it just perpetuated very quickly from there. Like my head works in a super weird way, and I was like, well, I want to unlock him. How do I unlock him? I've got to enter the game to be part of it. And that's kind of just where like it developed.
Yeah.
For my thought process, it was super straightforward. I was like, I'm going to be a moron, which is very easy for me to do. Supernatural, didn't have to veer off course too much. And then kind of, just chuck on some high vis. And then it kind of developed as I did it as well. And then I was like, okay, I guess it's the high vis hucker. And then, shot it in my garage, like the rotating thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a rotating thing. I can't even remember.
Yeah, you went through like a few different characters and stuff, maybe. Yeah. And I think you were spinning, or at least it was like that Tony Hawk.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's fully inspired by games, and I like that. Like I like the darker, grungy, and arcade style, and all that sort of jazz. So and put that together and acted like myself, and then lo and behold, I got a message from him saying I was on the toilet at the time, and he said, as most people are when they're on Instagram. So they catch their 10 minutes of feeling that, scratching the itch, got to get my gram dosage, 10 grams of the gram. And so I was sitting on the toilet, and he messages me and he goes, mate, just want to let you know, you've actually made the top 10 or top 5.
Yeah, okay.
And I yelled out to my partner at the time, now wife, and said, Cara, I'm in the top 5. I'm in the top 5. And she's like, what? I was like, the bike. She's like, oh, that's awesome. And I was like, oh, I was on the toilet, my pants down. I was so pumped. Yes. I was so excited. And then I'm sitting there and I'm like, keep scrolling or whatever I was doing. I don't know what I was doing, wasting time as you do, waiting for, nature to take its path. And then he messages me back and he goes, can't wait till tomorrow. Congratulations. You're the winner.
That's it.
And I literally, thank goodness I was sitting on a toilet. Well, that's all I can say, because the sheer level of like excitement that evacuated, the energy exuded, I was so pumped, and I yelled out again, and I was like, Cara. And she's like, what? I'm like, I won. And she's like, what, between the 2 minutes we spoke and now? I was like, yeah. I was like, I won. And she's like, what, really? I was like, yeah, you just told me. She's like, is it a joke? And I was like, I hope not, because that's really mean. That's really cruel. And that was just like, that was definitely like another like push to like follow and just pursue doing bike stuff. Like I've never had a real like competitive push for it, because like everyone's shooting bikes and everyone's doing all sorts of stuff. But for me, it just gave me a bit of confidence to try. And again, I was still kind of working with this school as a photographer.
Yeah, okay.
And I'd been there for a while, and then the opportunities from Flow continued to grow. And then I won the bike, and then I was getting less work, and the school was kind of like essentially pushing me out. They didn't want to pay me. That's what was happening.
Yeah, fair enough.
They were wanting to pay me nothing, and I had to ask myself, what do I want to do here? Yeah. Like I'm at a crossroad. Do I dive in and try like everything and all in on this and media and all the rest of it, instead of having like this employment role, which was still photography, which I loved, and working with people, but they were pushing me to a point where I wasn't respecting myself, and I was ruining the passion, which is the reason I do anything. Yeah. And it was killing it for me. And so I reached a point where I went and just the bike, and then it just pushed me into full time. And then I just kept doing heaps more stuff with Flow, and then did more commercial work. And as I say, like commercial work's where it began for me. So I just kept growing both sides of it. And and I don't know what the question was or where we ended up.
I was talking about the bike comp, but yeah. No,
that's the thing.
That kicked you off. Yeah,
it really was a push. And my mate who sent me the thing to tell me to enter it, and I was like, nah. And he's like, I told you. And I was like, but that really was a catalyst as well to kind of to push to follow my own work and try, But that was a big opportunity. So thank you, Bryn. That was a pretty big changing point. And for him to then come and deliver the bike and come and stay at my house.
Oh, yeah.
And get to know him, and him build the bike and teach me about settings and all the rest of it. And he's a rocket scientist and I'm a potato. And everything was just flying over my head, and I just couldn't believe he was staying in my house. And just getting to know me. And then he was up for doing part 2 of the video. Yeah. So I made a second installment, and like I unlocked him, and then he was riding, and I made him a shirt which had an embroidered thing that said Bryn and Hivy's Huck on the back. And, it was just a really cool moment. And I was so grateful that he'd chosen me. There was a lot of flack, well, not a lot, but a bit of flack online from, I knew I wasn't a really good rider and I knew I wasn't the best shooter and all the rest of it. But for me, it was about the concept, the core concept.
Yeah.
And for me, I felt like, well, he's making competition for us. This is about him. And he needs to know that we're putting the effort in, because most of those videos, like, there were some wicked riders and wicked edits, but a lot of them, like, they were people working together, and I just did it all by myself. And for him, he obviously connected to the fact that I'd made it specifically for the competition.
Yes.
And I think that was important, because some of those, they might have just made an edit and put it in.
Yeah.
So I think if you put the effort in those little increments, it will get noticed eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there was the raw reels from last year as well.
Oh, where was that? That was a few years ago, yeah.
That was last year when you did the kids bike.
Oh, was it last year?
It was definitely last year.
Feels like it was 5 years ago.
I was so keen on that, and I thought I'd done a decent video for that raw reels.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is pretty sick. I'm pretty stoked on what I've done. And then you dropped that, and I'm like, fuck, I was around throwing my phone across the room.
Sorry,
this deserves to win, but fuck.
No. Well, that's the thing. Like, when I entered that again, that was just for fun. Like, the majority of the work I do is for fun. If I can make money from it, that's brilliant. But I'd be shooting regardless, Yeah. And so for me, I entered with the pure intent of stirring.
Yeah.
There was no intention of taking anything out.
Yeah.
At all.
Just taking
because I saw tyres from the first year. I was like, that's so sick.
Yes.
And he's such a good rider. And then I was like, so am I. And then I was like, where's my son's bike? And I was like, testing it out in the driveway, the steel Commensal Ramones 12-inch Strider. And this thing is bomb-proof. Like, I'm hill bombing and run like mucking around on it. Can't do tail whips. I'll get there. But the thing is just so strong. It's steel, and it's just, I'm bunny hopping it around, and I just like, wonder if I could ride that. And then I just thought, if I just, I probably could. Like, it's got a brake. And, worst case, I can just throw myself off, because there's no bike to get tangled in, because it's so tiny.
And you're doing like 4K an hour.
Well, but there was some points where I was picking up.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, like if I didn't put any of the slow-mo, I mean, I was going quick, like uncomfortably quick for someone who's had 2 ACL reconstructions and, isn't super confident. Yeah. And again, it was a point where, like, I hadn't been riding. Most of the time, I'm not riding. I do little small bits here and there. And so I hadn't been riding, and then I'm jumping on a 12-inch Strider to film a video. And again, I had the entries closed in 2 days or 3 days.
Yes.
I was like that at school with exams. I would just cram information and try and hope for the best. And so, anyway, I was like, I've got a couple of days. I'm going to put this in. I'll show you, Ty. I'll show you. I'll show you how good a rider I am. Yeah. And the video got cut short for 2 reasons. I lost battery, lol. Yeah. I didn't have enough battery because I didn't charge. The crash, when I actually crashed, I actually hurt myself. So I was like, well, that's enough. Like, that'll do. Yeah, we'll do that. And so I was like, maybe I can make something from it. But it was for the pure intent of just stirring. I just wanted to stir. That's all I wanted to do. I wanted to gauge a reaction and inflame the mountain bike community and cause a bit of uproar. Because I like to push against the grain. Yeah. Yeah.
Which I think
I also like epic edits, and I love awesome riders and all the rest of it. But there's got to be room for, the Joe Blows, and the you know what I mean in terms of the skill levels of the people who are consuming the content. I'm thinking about everyone. I'm thinking about the dads out there, and I'm thinking about the the moderate to mediocre to confident riders, because there's a larger demographic of those out there than there are elites.
100%.
And so, and for me, I'm very I'm here. And so I feel like it's necessary to just show that side of things as well. Yeah. There's that level of ability, and you can ride your son's Strider bike or daughter's Strider bike and still have a good time. Yeah. And surprisingly, at the end of it, I was like, this is fucked. Like, I'm going fast. Pardon me. That's the first walnut I've said. Walnut that, please. I was going, like, there was some boys where I was going, I'm comfortably quick into the corners, and that's where things were, balance was getting whack and stuff. Yeah. Trying not to touch the brakes and so, and I actually, by the end, I was like, that was actually pretty fun. Like, I actually really enjoyed it. Yeah. And then I went back, like, I don't know, a couple of months later and did all the same corners on my e-bike. And I was like, that's better.
Yeah. As much as I like to give shit and sometimes like be the gatekeeperish, but there are too many gatekeepers and like.
I'm not a gatekeeper.
You're the opposite.
I'm totally in it for fun. I'm 100% fun.
Yeah.
And like, it's important to me that when I'm on a shoot with an athlete or whatever it is, even if it's a commercial or a corporate client, that it's fun to a degree. I mean, not everything can be fun. Accounting might not be as fun. I don't know. I'm sure it is to a degree. Spreadsheets are wicked.
Oh, there's people that froth them.
They're awesome. Yeah. And they make life easier. But I mean, I want to ensure that whoever I'm working with, like, it is fun and I enjoy it. Like, that's the point. I'm not there to make money, but I will be making money because it is what I do. But for me, it really is about having a laugh and really just poking for the most part. So not everything has to be serious, but I also like to create the clean cut stuff. And I hope that, as I say, that is also out there, that I'm not just the lol guy, but I think it's important to be able to drop your guard and have that. It's pretty important.
Have fun.
Yeah.
Well, there are plenty of people that can't do that. I think that's why their work ends up so stiff and cookie cutter and everything else as well.
Yeah.
It's like,
my parameters are fairly loose and you know, and I'm lucky that I've had a lot of clients that have come to me, specifically mountain biking clients that have come to me and asked me to do stuff because of the way I produce work and the humor and all the rest of it. So that's really rewarding to kind of, because I'm just doing it because I'm enjoying it and they want that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay,
yeah,
sure. Which is like Crush, you know, like I've been doing stuff for them since they began for Matt. And that's been really cool to kind of create a bit of a brand.
True.
You know, working with the people they support and all the rest of it to create some interesting and weird videos, and a lot of videos I've just done at home.
Yeah.
So that's cool when they give me the opportunity to do something a little bit different, and then I can, like he's literally just like, hey, this is what I want. You do you. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah. He's good for that. I'm for that.
And every client's different. It's like, you know, I did a project for Giant recently and it was just clean and that's fine. That's
with Sasha?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love doing that. Dead again.
That one's dead for sure.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. I can't be fucked with that one anymore.
That's good. So it's all audio now. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. And it was all based on that bike and the partnership. And and then I had a bunch of images, like image gallery and all the rest of it. And so I had a lot of content. And I thought it was really good content. It was in line with kind of their branding as well. And so trying to make sure it was good for that reason. But it didn't end up being like, obviously, I mean, it was with them for a couple of years, but things just got tight. I mean, pro athletes lost deals and stuff. So, but I thought, I'm so below the food chain, like, do they really want to get rid of a guy who's got like a worth $5,000 now second-hand bike? They actually maybe sold.
Did they?
Yeah, I couldn't keep it or anything.
Even though you paid money?
No, I didn't pay money. The previous one I paid for, but this one was 100% sponsor. It was next demo from A&B, I think. But unfortunately, I couldn't keep it. And I love that bike. Like, it was so good. And grew up like with the first little boy riding that bike with me and heaps of adventures and stuff. So it was like, had a bit of sentimental value to it. But then I just had to remember it's just a fucking bike.
That's unreal. They made it sell though. Like,
I was really hoping I could, you know, like they gave me an opportunity to buy it, but it was still like 5.5. And I was like, man, you know, like I've had it for 2 years and it was the next demo for a review, and it came to me, the motor was cooked, and it would be nice to just keep it. You know, I appreciate it. But
now you're on content. Like, how's that going for you?
Yeah, so that's brilliant. And I shouldn't, if that's recording, I shouldn't talk ill. Like, Specialized were really supportive.
Yeah.
They with e-bikes. Yeah. But then, it would have been great to get other bikes, but additional pricing and all the rest of it. So,
you could be one of the only sponsored media guys in Australia that doesn't work for the company. Like,
suppose so. I haven't really thought about it.
Yeah, I'll tell you up there for sure.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, so it's got to be grateful. But that's why I wanted to make sure I produce some really interesting content, and whenever they sent me like Specialized, when they send me helmet or shoes and whatever, like I make the product video for that, to kind of thank them for, the continuing friendship, the partnership. So yeah, I was really, really lucky to be working with them. So even if it was only for 6 months, that was huge, and that gave me a lot of confidence and enabled me to do my job really well, because they powered my work like God. But then Commensale, I'd kind of been working with them in the background for a few years, and my mate was involved, but he was more the focus than I was. So then when that opportunity came up to be involved with them, because things had finished off with one end with Specialised, and then they were really happy to support me. And so now I'm powered by Commensale, which is really cool. And I flog the absolute tyre knobs off that bike. It's a really good workout. I'm not shy with it. So between actually riding it for fun, I feel like it was very precious with the leather, but I'm definitely a little bit more aggressive with the. I don't know why. I just want to ride it a little bit more. So between having I'll have a trailer for the kids, and then they have a shotgun seat on the bike, and then riding it for work, and then riding it for fun. That thing is just, it gets a ton of views. So really lucky to have them supporting me. I've got a fleet. I've got a trail bike. I've got the e-bike, and I've got the dirt jumper for the pump track.
Oh, right.
Fellas.
Might start wrapping things up.
For sure.
If you want to get back.
Did you run out of batteries? Microphones?
I'm running out of batteries.
Daylight. So I don't think we've quite reached the Baxter and dry threshold.
No.
But,
I've also got to go shoot cuddles after this. So.
Do you need more batteries?
No, that one's fine. I'll be shooting with that camera.
What time do you have to go and do that?
Oh,
do you have to go now?
After this, I'll change into my riding gear.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Should have said, shut up, Jasper.
No, it's great.
No.
Brendan's my chauffeur today, so he waits for whatever. It's pretty sick deal. I've got 3 questions I'd like to ask, but what advice would you give to juniors or crew that want to get into videography or photography or start doing this professionally?
I mean, as most people say, just do it.
Yeah.
But I would say, whatever it is, whether it's bikes or cooking or motorcars, I sound like I'm 70. Action sport, automobiles, telephones, mobile phones, whatever you're interested in, just really dig in. And when I say dig in, I mean, don't just do it and assume everything's going to come. I want to see kids coming up that are, holding themselves well with humility, because there's a lot of young talent and that are really good at stuff, but just having a level head about stuff, just goes a long way in the stuff that you're doing. So definitely going and doing it, but I just want to see conviction and real intent behind what they're trying to achieve. If you've I'm just not enjoying this, and I'm being a bit sassy about the way I'm trying to shoot this stuff, maybe just try a different avenue of shooting, or working with different people, or I definitely recommend, if you can assist someone like myself.
Yeah, true.
Do it, because I didn't help anyone. I never did anything with anyone. It's been hard and a long road and fairly lonely, and for the most part it is. When you're in a small business and you're the only person running it. But if you can work with other people and you can collaborate, that's awesome. But I didn't have many opportunities to do that, and it's just takes a lot longer to do it. You can establish yourself so much faster. I mean, you probably didn't know I've been shooting for 10 years. I don't know, if I would say anything, it's just find something you can dig your heels into and are driven to, and respect the people that you're working with and shooting, and just treat them really well. And I think everything will just kind of follow from there. So even if you just, you're just coming along and you're on a shoot, just treat it like you're getting paid $5,000.
Yes.
Because it will change the way you shoot it.
Yeah.
Especially if you're 15.
Well,
Treat yourself, just still tell yourself you're getting paid $1,000. $500. Doritos, I don't care. Whatever holds value to you, then that will give you value the way you're conducting yourself and the way you're shooting. And then you're going to produce something that is so much better, whatever you're doing. It's a long-winded way to say, I just want you to try.
No, but that's a really good piece of advice. It's the same as training, it's the same as learning at school, whatever, but repetition. So if you can repetitively tell yourself that you're working and you get that work ethic and you build it up.
That's it, work ethic. And respecting the people you're working with. Just treating them well, talking nicely, because I often see, just a lack of etiquette in, the few events that I've done.
True.
Other shooters and photographers and even big paper photographers and stuff, they're just no social skills. And you can develop anything. Yeah. Everything is a skill. It's called a social skill because you can develop it. Talking, vocabulary, treating people well goes a long way. And then the content and your passion will all just come together. Yeah. I mean, that's what I hope for.
Yeah, exactly. So, is there anything that we should have done differently?
Working with other people, studying with it or finding, but they weren't really when I was doing stuff, as I say, I'm kind of following my own weird path, it's fumbling around, kicking stones, so there wasn't a lot of people I didn't really know, and I kind of I like the path of trying to discover it myself. It is so much harder and it takes longer, but there is some satisfaction in it, and then you learn weird stuff that you like or you don't like about yourself and what you're doing. Yeah. So I don't think there's anything I would have done differently. If anything, I wish if I could go back and speak to just starting shooting Jasper, I'd be like, hey, could you just start now? Can you dig into it now? Start a bit sooner because you're going to be further ahead. Yeah. That investment of not thinking about next week, it's thinking about next year or the next few years. Yeah. So I just kind of will my younger self who'd be, arrogant and have an ego and, would know better than older, wiser Jasper. So wise. Layla Sharman knows I'm super wise. But yeah, so I think I'd be you just need to get into it sooner. Because I think there's that reluctance as well of everything. Do I dip in? Do I for you? How much do I put into this? How much time do I really want to invest and pour into this when I don't know it's going to work out? Yeah. And that's why I had the catalyst of not having a choice. And I was piss farting around. Should I? Shouldn't I? And I have that indecision all the time in everything that I do. And it's such a waste of time. I wish I could have just circumnavigated all that insecurity. And I still probably have that. I wish I could have got past all that and just got invested sooner and believed in myself. And there are some days where I just don't. Yeah. Constantly. Mental health. What am I doing? Why bother? A lot of the time. So, I just wish that I could just cut all the crap and just get to it. But I just, self-confidence takes time to build and I still don't, still have time. I'm just what's the point of this? I just get on with Jasper. Exactly. Get on with it, mate.
Last question actually kind of ties onto that. But if you've got a day where you're not motivated or you're struggling for ideas or you don't want to go out and shoot whether or shoot or anything, is there anything you do to get motivated, get out there, or any music, anything you kind of use to G up or?
I think not really. I think in the last probably 4 years, things have changed for me in terms of motivation to work and create because of children and fatherhood. So I think for me, I just have a new appreciation for just the simple fact that I get to. As ridiculous as that sounds, but the fact that I get to go out and do something that I really, really love and work with really, really cool people, whether it's bike or other commercial corporate. I think that's really, really a privilege, within itself to be able to do that and have the time and the luxury to be able to do that and have found that path like that. And so that's kind of where I'm just really grateful to be able to do those things. And so I don't really need the motivation anymore. I'm just really that is the motivation that I get to do it. And I'm just super pumped, even if it's really bad weather or it's really dappled, like Derby always is, I just, it's a challenge. But I think I just have to reset my level of what's acceptable and good and the motivation for it and just come back to the simple reason of why I ever did it in the first place. Because it's awesome. Being outside is awesome. For so many reasons. Exactly. And so just being able to do that and just meet cool people and chat with you and all the rest of it. And the community that bikes has created for me. I didn't really have big friendship circle and stuff, but because of like bikes, and it sounds super cliche, but I have, and I've got friends and in the industry, and it's weird. I've never really been asked that question, but I find, especially since kids, the time factor, and I just don't have to have motivation, because that in itself, I'm just so stoked, which sounds super corny and lame.
No.
But I really am.
Yeah.
Like I really am, and I might be a bit more subtle about it. Sometimes I might be a bit more overt.
Yeah.
Recently, I know we're wrapping this up, but recently when I did a shoot with Sasha Kim, he filmed me like just random stuff, and he asked if I could film some stuff on his phone, so I'd set the camera up, and then he'd film me, and he put a little thing together when we'd finished the shoot. And it was super funny because I didn't know like how weird I was. It was like these things that I do, and like I don't even know that I'm doing it. But for me, it was like looking at someone else, because I hadn't seen it. I think it was just a phone like video. It was just like the noises I was making and the things that I was doing, and I'm like, that guy's super odd or quirky. Yeah. But I'm like, that's because I'm actually having so much fun. Like I really enjoy it. Yeah. And so, and it's not always that super weird, but like if the people I'm working with can adapt to dealing with 95% Jasper, then they'll get 95% Jasper. And so, at the end of the day, my motivation is gratitude, I guess. Like I really am. Like it's really cool. So, that's probably enough. Flapping that comes there.
I really enjoyed the podcast. I really enjoyed talking to you. Like it's been pretty insightful.
I hope so, because I feel like I was literally just talking crap in circles. We didn't even address that we'd begun, and I feel like that might not have been useful to you. But I hope you there was something that was useful to you in some way, and especially to like the way you're going with your work. Hopefully, you can take some useless bit of Jasper rubbish and then use that, and then disregard the rest of it.
It is really, without sounding cheesy, inspirational, but like it is motivating and stuff to hear your story.
I'm glad. I hope you can get something weird from that.
And it's good to have someone who's quirky.
I'm definitely not straight. I'm no straight Stanley, that's for sure. That's it. I've never been very good at following the people in front of me.
Yep.
So
that's good.
Yeah. Hopefully, So thanks for entertaining a chat. Because, I don't often just talk that much, especially like full sentences with an adult and finishing them. So that's probably why it's been one of your almost all-time greatest length podcasts.
It's long, 100%.
Long and fractured.
And everything's, all the tech issues. No.
Long and fractured. What's the time? What have we reached?
It's 3:45.
So when did we start? At 1 a.m?
Yeah. I think it's 2 hours. Maybe. Can't remember how many times I pressed that button.
Mate, sorry.
No, it's good. It's all good.
Please
cut some stuff off.
Before we finally finish, we haven't really met until now.
No.
So I've obviously talked to you and stuff, but I actually spoke to you during the last AWS, but I don't know if you remember.
Yes. No, after the fact.
Oh, you know. Oh, so you know. Oh, damn it.
Yeah.
I was hoping for you to be like, what?
Yeah.
Oh, so there's no wool over your eyes.
I knew after the fact who was in.
Who told you?
I can't remember.
Oh, damn it. Whoever they are, damn you.
Right. Checks out. As soon as someone said that, I'm like, I should have caught on to that way earlier. Yeah.
Because I was squatting next to you at one point when you didn't know, when you were like neutrality. You were squatting down, and I was like sitting next to you with like in the green suit, just with the Australian flag around my neck, and I'm pretty sure you were like, "Is this guy like?"
No,
I was seriously concerned.
I loved it. I loved every second of it. But then I was like, I didn't really know if you knew what you were doing.
I never do.
Well, like I didn't know because you were just a green suit. I didn't know if you were just some drunk spectator as well. I'm like mildly worried that something bad was going to happen.
Yeah, always on edge.
But then you would. Yeah, I worked it out. Like someone told me after, I'm like,
It was super hard taking photos and filming through this like horrific slit. I found it really challenging.
Was so good though.
Yeah, that was when I wasn't working. So there you go.
Oh yeah.
That's what happens when I'm not working. That was the first thing in a while where like I hadn't had a job lined up, and I was like, I get to hang out with my friends. This is going to be sick. And then they were not stoked at what I was wearing. I didn't burn that thing. It was disgusting. I didn't burn it. I felt like it self-combusted. The suit was disgusting.
It would have been.
It was rancid. Yeah. I tried drinking through the end. At the end of the day, the hole, it wasn't really a hole, but it was thinning here from my like beard or whatever, and stubble. And I was like trying to drink it. It was just a wet hole. It wasn't pleasant. And there were people watching, and I think some of the children, like you could see the trauma entering their history. And I was like, this obviously I need to turn around and get changed or something. This is bad.
I'm going to have to use that shot. I got a shot of him jumping next to drowning.
Oh, perfect.
So I'm going to use that for
Mick Ross actually, I'm pretty sure he took it because he sent me the pictures. He got a cracking shot of me like awkwardly clambering. It's like a pan shot and the Australian flag and the ground. I was like, that's great, thanks.
Yeah. And I think I saw a video of you down Air Going.
Yeah, Ty.
Through that. Yeah.
Ty didn't know it was me. And then like, I think maybe after that, it must have been just after it. But yeah, I was standing right next to him with the camera. And he was like looking at the camera and he was like looking. And he couldn't figure it. He's like, are you Jasper? And I was like, man, like, how would you know that? Like, how do you know that? What made him think that? Because no one else would be that weird. No, it was so funny. I was like, I kind of nodded and I was like slightly embarrassed because he knew my secret identity. But that was pretty funny. He got a great clip from that. I'm glad I could help his algorithm.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good. Yeah. Easy, man. Well, thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Thanks for loading your cards up for me.
Right.
Enjoy that water.
Oh, we will.
There we go, legends. I hope you enjoyed that episode. It was a bit of a weird one. We went on some trajectories. She got wild. Sorry about the audio at the end there. It was a mic dying on me. A few technical issues, but hey, these things happen. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Jasper's an amazing person, so go follow him on the Instagram and watch some of his antics. Next episode is a big one. Leave it at that.